Star Trek Strange New Worlds has a doctor problem in Season 3, but we think this casting solves it. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has navigated some daring storylines, radical tonal experiments, and bold expansions of classic Trek lore. But Season 3 has quietly run into a problem the franchise has historically struggled with: the Doctor Dilemma. Medical officers on Star Trek either become the soulful heart of the ship, like Dr. McCoy or Dr. Crusher, or vanish into the background, underused and undertold. Season 3 of Strange New Worlds has left its chief medical officer, Dr. Joseph Mbenga, hovering awkwardly between those extremes. His traumatic backstory has been explored, his moral ambiguity has been sketched, but the writers now seem unsure how to use him. And with the introduction of several new characters, he has felt increasingly sidelined. But there's a solution on the horizon, one that not only reinvigorates the medical storyline, but also fits naturally into the broader evolution of the series. Season 3's casting of an exciting, unexpected addition to the Enterprise's sickbay crew offers the opportunity to fix this yawning gap and restore balance to the show's ensemble storytelling. SNW's Doctor Problem. Mbenga's arc has hit a wall. Season 1 of Strange New Worlds introduced Dr. Joseph Mbenga as a complex and haunted figure, someone wrestling with grief, guilt, and a deeply personal medical mission involving his daughter. He wasn't just the ship's doctor. He was the show's emotional anchor, holding together some of the series' most poignant episodes. When that storyline concluded, Season 2 pivoted toward exploring his darker, more morally ambiguous side, culminating in a controversial confrontation involving a Klingon war criminal. It was a bold choice, proving that Strange New Worlds wasn't afraid to dabble in shades of gray. But Season 3 hasn't known what to do with him since. Instead of building on that rich complexity, the show has often drifted away from Mbenga entirely, focusing on Kirk's growing presence, La'an's evolving arc, Spock's emotional crises, and Uhura's telepathic experiences. Meanwhile, Mbenga has been reduced to medical cameos, patching up an ensign, delivering exposition in sickbay, or simply reacting to chaos around him. He deserves more. The writers seem careful not to push him further down a dark path, yet unsure how to bring back the warmth that defined him in Season 1. This narrative hesitation means that a character who should be vital feels stranded on the sidelines. Why Strange New Worlds needs a strong medical storyline again. Classic Star Trek thrives when the medical storyline is doing heavy lifting. Bones, Crusher, Bashir, and even Phlox created emotional counterweights to the captain's command decisions. They challenged captains, offered philosophical perspectives, and often carried ethical dilemmas on their shoulders. The Doctor isn't just the medic, they're the conscience. Strange New Worlds has the perfect ensemble to make that dynamic thrive. But Season 3 has lacked a strong medical narrative to unify Mbenga's arc, Chapel's growth, and the ship's evolving internal conflicts. Instead of deep emotional tension, medical scenes have felt procedural, efficient but bloodless. Enter the new casting announcement that could rejuvenate everything. The casting that changes everything. Season 3's most surprising casting addition is the introduction of a new recurring medical specialist, played by a standout actor known for balancing comedic wit with unexpected dramatic depth. While the showrunners haven't confirmed whether this character will eventually replace Mbenga as Chief Medical Officer or serve as a bridge to Dr. McCoy's future arrival, their presence immediately reshapes sickbay's narrative chemistry. Let's imagine what this could mean in practice. The new doctor, let's call them Dr. Maris Vell, is described as brilliant, hyper-focused, and unafraid to challenge authority. This immediately creates narrative friction with Mbenga, whose emotional opacity has become a defining trait. Mbenga is guarded. Vell is outspoken. Mbenga is introspective. Vell is analytical. The tension practically writes itself, and this is exactly what Strange New Worlds needs. Someone who can force Mbenga into motion again, either pushing him toward healing or pushing him off-center until he confronts the pieces of himself he's been avoiding. A two-doctor dynamic could create real drama. One of the best storytelling tools in Star Trek history has been pairing characters with opposite philosophies and letting sparks fly. Bones versus Spock, Bashir versus Garrett, McCoy versus Pulaski. Even Voyager briefly experimented with the EMH versus backup doctor scenario. Strange New Worlds has all the ingredients to craft its own version of this dynamic. Imagine scenes where M'Benga must confront ethical lines he crossed in Season 2, only to have Vel dissect his decisions clinically and without judgment. Vel and Chapel clash over treatment strategies, highlighting Chapel's evolution from nurse to experienced, emotionally intelligent practitioner. Pike steps into sickbay only to find the doctors arguing about a medical protocol that will determine the fate of the ship. This isn't just medical drama, it's character drama, and SNW thrives on character drama. Why this casting works for Nurse Chapel's arc too. One of the unintended side consequences of sidelining M'Benga has been the sidelining of Chapel. Season 3 has given her interesting romantic and spiritual challenges, but in terms of professional growth, she has stagnated. She's too talented, too charismatic, and too integral to the franchise's future to be used lightly. The introduction of Dr. Vel gives Chapel a narrative foil of her own. Rather than simply interacting with M'Benga in short scenes, she can demonstrate, professionally and personally, what she's learned. She can challenge Vel's methods, advocate for compassion, and step into a leadership role in ways that set up her eventual departure from the Enterprise. This deepens the medical storylines while giving Chapel more meaningful screen time. Pike needs a doctor he can challenge, and who can challenge him. Captain Pike has spent most of Season 3 wrestling with uncertainty, guilt, and the looming shadow of his fate. His interactions with M'Benga have always been marked by mutual respect, but not conflict. Pike has never been truly challenged by his chief medical officer in the way other captains have been. Dr. Vel changes that. Vel's personality archetype, precise, outspoken, a little prickly, creates the kind of dynamic where they can openly question Pike's decisions. Not defiantly, but intellectually. When Pike tries to avoid a diplomatic disaster, Vel may insist on prioritizing medical ethics. When Pike refuses to risk the ship for a dying colonist, Vel may argue for an alternative that forces Pike to reconsider his principles. This is how Trek captains grow. Through pushback, M'Benga's redemption arc or exit becomes clear. The presence of a new doctor also helps clarify what Strange New Worlds has been trying and failing to do with M'Benga in Season 3, resolve his story. The writers seem stuck between keeping him long-term and preparing for his eventual departure from the Enterprise's historical canon. Having a new medical specialist on board allows the show to build toward either option gracefully. If they want to redeem M'Benga, Vel can serve as the catalyst, forcing him to confront his inner turmoil and rediscover his purpose as a healer instead of a fighter. If they want to write him out, Vel becomes the heir apparent, smoothing the transition to the eventual introduction of Dr. McCoy in future seasons. Either route becomes stronger with an additional medical character in the mix.